Hello Uki Bandits. So here we are, we've got a video today based on our live session that we did the other day in the Ukulele Club, and I was talking about musical styles, and what I mean by this is rhythm patterns that will fit different genres and styles of music. So what we've got is a few styles that I would consider the most important or most common ones that crop up. And although the island strum is a fantastic rhythm pattern and it is very versatile and used a lot, sometimes it's overused or used in the wrong place. So we've got to be aware of where not to use it rather than where to use it. And I would say there's the genres of music like blues, country, rock and roll, rock music. They have very, very identifiable rhythm patterns, or patterns that are, when you hear them, you can hear that style of music. So we are going to look at those today and work our way through a few. And to start off, I just want to explain the diagrams and what we're looking at so it makes sense when you're following the sheet. Okay, so to start off with, what we've got here is a bar of music. So we have a thick line here with a little line, a thick line here with a little line, and the two dots. Between that space, there's a space of music, or amount of time of music, if you like, and this is indicated by this here 4/4. This means there's 4 beats in the bar, and what that actually means is that that space that we've got between that line and that line equate to 4 beats, and these beats are known as crotchet beats if you were into your music, or if you care to learn what they're called. And this is what we have here. We've got 4 crotchet beats. That's what they look like. It's basically a stem. We've got 2 lines coming off each other. On music it would be a dot. In rhythm it's just like a line that's coming off. It's like a leg, or I think it's a hockey stick, maybe something like that. But there you go. So that's what the rhythm strokes are looking like. Underneath that we've got these numbers, and this is the Uki tab. So obviously you would have seen some of these tabs before on my videos, and the zeros and the threes, they're basically the numbers equate to the fret that you're playing, and if it's 0, it's open, there's no frets. I quite often call it open instead of 0, although that is a number 0, because they're the open strings. I quite often refer to that as open. So that's telling me here on this first row of notes, if I just highlight this first C chord, you can see that it's got a C there as well, so I know I'm holding down a C, and if you know a C, you just hold down a C, and it said 0 0 0 3, and the 0, if you look at the one here, which is technically at the bottom line, this is actually the string that's nearest to your head, and then it goes down from there. So you're going up the page. It's kind of as if you laid the page flat, it would make sense. So you're going 0 0 0 3, strumming. So it's just telling you what you're playing. Now if I was to just take, I'm just going to give you an example, if I was just to take that away, 0 3, I'm only playing those 2 strings. If I add that 0 in, I'm playing those 3 strings, and if I do another 0, I'm playing them all. So it's telling you exactly what you're playing. Now I'm going to be showing you in the video anyway and explain it, and you're going to see from the chord cam in the bottom right hand corner what I'm doing anyway. So if you get a little bit stuck looking at the pictures and diagrams, you know, you can use the visual cues by looking at the video, and also I'll be explaining it in a little bit of detail. But understanding these sheets will help you, especially if you look in music books for rhythm patterns. And these rhythm patterns, although they're on the ukulele, they do reflect on other instruments as well. So the patterns I'm using are very familiar already to guitar playing and piano playing and other instruments that would be playing backing or rhythm. So here we've got, let's just crack on with it. We've got that first exercise where there's 4 strums, and I know that I'm doing them downstrokes because I've got this symbol up here. So this symbol here that looks a bit like a staple or a goalpost, which is this, I'm just going to point to it here with my cursor. You can see my white cursor going over it. That means down strums. You're playing them all as down strums. When we play them as upbeats, you'll see down here we've got this V, this symbol here. This means an upstroke. So here we've got down, 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 down. We know it's 4 beats, so we do them evenly spaced apart. You can see the notes are evenly spaced apart, and this is all it is. 1 2 3 4. really important that you can do that to start off, obviously, and count the 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, that covers our basis really, but more importantly, that's to help you understand what we're looking at. So that's the diagram explained, and that's the simple rhythm that everyone should know and be able to play when you're playing a song. If you can play that, you can play pretty much any song, because that's all you need to be able to strum chords and keep up with chord charts, is to be able to keep a regular rhythm and then be able to change the chords. So here we are going to look at our first style, and we're going to be looking at country music. And in country, I mean, there's a lot of different rhythms that are used in country, but this one in particular fits any country song, or makes any song sound country-ish, because it's a very, like the island strums used a lot in Hawaiian music or pop music, the country strums used a lot in country music. And so what we're looking at here, if I just focus on this one and get our eyes averted away from the island strum, so I'm going to just lift it up so it's all you can see more or less. There you go, that'll do. What we're looking at here is we've got our first strum, which is a downstroke, and you can see that we're not playing the whole chord, we're only playing a portion of the chord, these top 2 strings here. And then I'm going to play more or less the bottom 3 strings. Now you're aiming to hit a portion of the chord, not all the chord, because that makes it sound interesting. If we play every beat like this and you hear every string, it's a very even sound, but if we split the sound up, we can make really interesting dynamic changes, and that makes it really much more enjoyable, I guess, if you're strumming, to make those variable changes in your way you attack the strings. So here we've got the top 2 notes, and then I'm playing the bottom 3. Now here we've got a down and an up. So when they're joined together like this, it means we have talked about this before in other videos, and if you remember, it's basically an 8th note or an 8th note rhythm, 2 and. So this is 1, 2 and this beat, which would be on the down, would be a 3, and this one would be 4 and. So we've got our 4 beats, and that's how it's split up: 1, 2 and 3, 4 and really just practice this where I'm hitting the top of the chord. And don't worry if you over hit, you're going to try your hardest to aim for the top bits of the top notes of the chord, and if you do get like the extra note but you don't get all of them, then that's a good start. So don't worry about really picking, only hitting those 2 and only hit those 3. Just aim for them, and eventually you'll get more consistent as you get more control with the finger. So we've got 2 notes, and then we're going up, so we're going to go down, down, up, and you can hear I'm hitting the top half of the chord. Look at my chord cam in the bottom right if you can. It's down. I'm trying to that's it, I'm learning. Right, so you're gonna go down, down, up. So down, down, up, and then we're gonna hit the same, we're gonna just repeat that basically. We're gonna hit the same thing again. So we're gonna go down, down, up, where I'm separating, only hitting the top half of the chord. And you hear the dynamics on that, it changes. So we're not playing, which sounds very even, but this dynamically sounds like a bit of a bounce to it, which is where that country bounce that you hear, almost like a train track sound. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when clouds are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You hear it's got a little bit of a bounce to it, and it very much reflects the country style of music. You hear it a lot in country songs. So that is the country rhythm. Okay, so here we are with island strum, and I imagine that most people know this already, but if you don't, then this is the place to start. It is very popular strumming pattern used in a lot of Hawaiian and pop styles. So although I called it island strum because it reflects a lot of the Hawaiian songs that we would have come across, a lot of pop styles, I think, because a lot of pop artists would have learned from that style of music when playing the ukulele, and then they brought the ukulele into the pop songs. That's why that style of rhythm is very popular in pop songs as well. So that's why it's a very, very flexible rhythm pattern, because it's used a lot and it will work in a lot of songs. And I'm just going to go over how the rhythm should be played, and then a few options of you getting more out of it. So if you are using it in a few songs, at least you can vary it a little bit. So we've got our strokes. We've got down, down, up, and then we're missing a stroke, we're resting, and we're playing up, down, up. So this goes one strum. You can see this one, rather than any dynamics, we've got no notes missing out here at all. We're playing all the strings. So this is the straightforward strumming pattern to start off with, where we are strumming all the strings. So if I bring my ukulele up for this one so you can see it, you've got down, down, up, miss. And this is important, and if you look at the that one, the other camera, you'll see that I've got a stroke coming down where I'm not hitting the strings. So it's all, we'll call it a ghost strum if you like. So you're going to go down, down, up, miss. This is the really important bit, is not pausing, and because then you've got to quickly go down to get the upstroke, because it should be, as you can see, it's an upstroke. So here, if I point my cursor over it, we've got down, down, up, miss, which should be a downstroke, up, down, up. So what we're looking at is that first stroke as a down, one beat. Let's see if I can do the blue thing on there as well. Then it's a down, up. Then this one is our miss strum, so we're missing the strings. And then we've got our up on the way back up, and then finally our down, up. And that's the mechanics of the island strum. It's got a nice sound to it. So down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. And that's the island strum, and it's very, very, very straightforward once you get used to missing the strings. That's the hardest bit. If you don't miss the strings and you pause, it sounds a bit more stiff, robotic, and you'll more likely won't get that fluency and that consistency when you're playing with other people, and you'll come unstuck somewhere. You might come, because basically when you're stopping the arm from moving, the fluency goes then. So you need to keep that all the time moving to the beat. And you know, imagine if you were tapping the table and you just kept tapping that table, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and you take your hand away and you're still tapping, yeah, and then you go back to the table and you're keeping that. You haven't gone out of step at all, because that there is, you're keeping the rhythm going, you're still hitting as if you were hitting the table, and when you come back down, so you're perfectly in time. It's the same thing really when we're strumming, you know. If I keep my hand off, if I bring my hand off the strings and keep moving to the beat, when I put it down, I'll still be in time. If you pause and stop, that's when you lose that consistency, and you can very much go out of step with everyone else. So a little trick there. So when we look at the space that we're playing, this is what I want to talk about more with this strumming pattern. So you've got 3 ways you can use that space, and they will all sound effective and slightly different. So we've got the rhythm itself, where we're just resting. Now you'll notice that it's ringing when I do that. That's the standard way that you'll hear people play it. They basically miss the strings, and the sound of the chord before will ring. But it is effectively, it should be, if it's a rest, no sound. So how we do this is we trap the strings. There's 2 ways of doing it. Trap the string like that. Make sure the finger is below the string, so down. So you've got to look at this. That one. You've got to look at this chord cam. In fact, let me make this slightly bigger for the reason that I'm making it a bit more obvious what I'm doing here, because this camera is the one that you need to look at, because it's all the right hand movement. We know we're holding a C chord. You don't need to see that. So basically I'm going down, down, up, and then trapping the strings where the first finger is underneath, and then carrying on the pattern with an up, down, up. Now you can see that it makes me almost stop. So it means the mechanics of what I was talking about before, where, you know, you're consistently going, is lost a little. But if you're making it almost like a beat. So this is another way of doing it. If you're hitting, it becomes, there's still some fluidity there, because down, down, up, tap, up, down, up, because I've got a movement. You can see I'm doing that as a downstroke, and then it goes straight into my upstroke. So you're not really stopping, you're just doing something slightly different, and that's where it can be really tricky to keep that consistent. So first one you want to get is where you just literally miss the string. The second one is where you either put a percussive or a rest. So the rest is one way of doing it, where you just trap it. Where we slap it, we get a little bit more of an effect. We get a rhythm in there. We get a percussive sound. So you can see it's a bit bouncy because the camera's on the end. I can see it bouncing around a little bit, but you can see when I'm tapping up, tap, up, down, up. Although it's almost like a physical stop, it's sort of part of the movement. It's part of the movement. So down, down, up, percussive, up, down, up. Now there is something else you can do. So this is the third way of utilizing that space, and this is where we literally, if you're trapped with the left hand, I can get a percussive sound. Now I get that's going to be quite difficult, especially on some chords it'll be harder, but any chord, down, down, up, you basically stop the chord, stop the sound with all the fingers, and then go back to the chord. Now that's quite tricky because you've got to go. That's very tricky to do, so it wouldn't be effective on quite a quick song where there's lots of changes and quite hard chords. So what you would do, instead of trapping, which some people like using other fingers as well, if I do it with C, you can actually trap with the other fingers, which is probably what I would do on a lot of these open chord sounds when I've got fingers free, of course. If I did it on an F, I'm actually using, you can't see it there, but if I do it here with this other camera, I'm using the third finger. So that's one way of doing it, and you can experiment with that. And anything where you're adding a sound or something quite interesting that you can pull off and add into the chord is a dynamic. It adds an effectiveness to the rhythm strumming. So, but this is probably the most common way and the easiest way of doing it is where we use the palm. So the palm comes down and you mute it that way. And the idea is that instead of just strumming the strings, you're strumming the strings with the palm very lightly resting, and you'll get this. They call it a chunky chuck sound. It's like really, you can call it what you want really. It's a percussive sound. You're getting a sound, it's muted, it's percussive, and the idea is that you're getting not the whole chord. So if I was doing a C chord and that was ringing, you can hear, now I'll put the palm down. Now the palm comes down, look at that camera, the right hand camera. The palm comes down, it's touching the strings before the stroke, meaning I'm getting that now. If I were to go, do that consistently, I'm just resting on it. Now if I put it in the chord, it's open, it's open, it's down, it's open, it's down. So it's a nice sound when you get that going, especially where if it's placed in the right place in the beat to match maybe something like a drum pattern or something like that. So let me give you an example then. This is the island strum with that percussive in the middle. So down, down, up, percussive, up. So you do hear that used quite a lot, and it's something that you can use whenever there's a space or a gap. So you can fill up the space in the gap with a strum that's either muted, percussive, or you could hit the body There's a lot of things you can do. Experiment. I know some of these aren't going to be easy if you're not used to doing them, but that's the whole point. The whole point is learning something new and putting it in your playing. And it might be that you simplify it, or it might mean that you just go like this. So we take our very simple strum at the beginning and we just play one. Instead of strumming the second beat, we percussive it. Rather than go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or percussive. Because it might be more complex doing those upstrokes and getting it in the right place. So find a rhythm that you're really comfortable with and then experiment with those different styles of percussive and muting, and it will be quite effective, especially in a group scenario where if everyone's doing the same rhythm, then you can add slight twist on it, and that little bit of variety should hopefully shine through. Okay, so on to our next style. Okay, so blues music. So what we've got here is, first of all, we've got our down strums, which you can see here. We've got our down strums, our goalposts or staples, and we've got our lines that are replicating the type of beats that we're playing, which are eighth notes. So we've got 8 strums in the bar, and this is played, if it was just played straight, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so that's 8 down strums, and we're counting in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so we can hear the original 4 beats per bar. And that's what an eighth note rhythm is, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so that's how it's played if it was played straight. But blues, and most blues music will swing and have what we call a shuffle, and this is where we shuffle the second strum closer. And if we look at here, this is our second strum, this one here. We're going to shuffle it by putting it closer to that third strum, and then the fourth strum will be closer to the fifth, sixth closer to the seventh, etc. And that gives us an effect, and it's very much like what you hear when you hear a train on a train track. So that's the rhythm that you hear, very popular in blues music. So it's down, 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 and this will be counted 1 and 2. So hold it up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so there you go, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and this is a blues rhythm using our shuffle. Now that third dimension that I'm going to add to it, so we've got our shuffle and our obviously downstrokes, and now we're going to add in the accent. So this arrow that you see, lots of symbols to learn and things to take on board. I know you might want to lie down afterwards or pause the video and take lots of deep breaths, but we've got here an arrow on the first strum, arrow on the third, then we've got an arrow on the fifth, and then an arrow on the seventh. So we're basically playing stronger strums on those, so that accents, it highlights that beat, and it's highlighting the 1, 2, 3, 4, and the and beats, which are played in between, are the softer ones. So we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, which are strong, and our ands are all the normal. So that, you know, you just strum them like you normally would and just make it heavier on that first beat. This gives you this. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and now notice I'm hitting all of the strings there. You can see all the numbers, 0, 0, 0, 3. That means we're hitting all the strings. Nothing clever about that at the moment. So if you do get the blues style and you do get used to playing in on those basic C7s, F7s, G7, then I guarantee you come across any blues song and put that rhythm in, it will sound awesome. You'll straight away, it'll sound very authentic and like you're playing the blues rather than the island strum. The island strum doesn't really fit the blues. You could play it, you could use it, but it's a different style, so, and it reflects a different genre of music. So definitely get used to the blues, because blues on the ukulele sounds pretty nice, especially some of the slow ballad blues songs. It sounds really nice. So get that rhythm off one more time. It's basically one, the shuffle more importantly than anything else is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. They're not evenly spaced this time, and that's that symbol at the top. That's what it tells me. It actually tells me, if I look at this symbol here, it tells me at the first strum I'll get rid of that. So this first drum here, if I highlight my arrow, is longer than this drum. So this drum is basically, if we were dividing it into 3 parts, 1, 2, 3, if we were to strum on the 1 and strum on the 3, that's what you've got. It's like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's how the rhythm should sound, and I did talk about that in I did a whole video on it. So just look up this. I think it was swing and shuffle or swing rhythm, because there is a few songs that we do play with that style, that style fits quite a few of the songs that we play rather. So that's blues music. Okay, onwards and upwards, we've got rock and roll, we are using, if I pull it down a little bit, the same sort of rhythm. We're using 8th notes, all downstrokes. The difference is these are straight. So instead of shuffle and swinging, we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So think of all your Status Quo songs, any Chuck Berry song, it have a driven downbeat rhythm, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and what you're looking at doing is accent. You can see there's an accent here on the 2 and the 4 of the beat. Here we can see all the strings are being played, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but the 2 and the 4 are played louder. This sounds like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's driven, a lot more energy, and those accents make the beat stand out, and the 2 and the 4 are quite important. On the drums you would hear boof, ja, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's highlighting that 2 and the 4, which we call a backbeat. If you ever encounter that drum rhythm, it's a backbeat rhythm where the 2 and the 4 are played on the snare drum, which is quite loud. And it's a really nice rhythm to play if you're playing songs that have that style of rhythm. The other thing that's involved in this is PM. That's not the Prime Minister. We don't get Boris Johnson involved. We basically play a palm muted rhythm. So we slap the palm on the strings like we did when we did our mute, and we raise it ever so slightly. You don't want it completely cut off and muted. You hear it, so you can just about hear the chord. There you go. So I've got it angled. So you get it muted. It's muted, and then bring it all the way back if you can. Bring the palm back as close to the bridge saddle as possible. You don't have it too far forward. If you have it on the strings, you'll mute them all. And if you bring it right back, you'll open up some of the sound from the chord, and that's what you want with that. And what we do basically is we're going to play palm muting throughout. I mean, if I was to extend this, let's have a look. If I was to extend this, I'm going to show you what it would look like. There you go. So I'm making it a little bit more obvious on this diagram, but you'll get the picture of it. It's pretty straightforward. It means you're palm muting on the first 2, then accenting loud on the second beat, then palm muting, then accenting. What you're actually doing is like what we did with the percussive. You're just lifting it off. So I'm playing, and then lifting the hand up just on the 2nd and 4th beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, where I think that's very useful is when there's verses. So you've got the main song being sung, and then when you get into the chorus, is then making it louder, and that's what you hear quite a lot on the old Status Quo records. Even can come in very useful. You can hear I'm changing it, I'm dampening it, I'm raising it. Not easy to do at first, but I would strongly recommend you just kind of getting used to your palm, getting on the bridge saddle, and getting that sound to start with, and playing the whole rhythm like that. And and then when you get used to it, lift it off, and then put it back on. And it's just a matter of time before you, if you slow it right down, you lift it off at the right place, and you get used to putting it on and off as you wish. So yeah, keep it on. Find the sound that sounds like it. You can hear the chord, but it's a muffled sound, and experiment with it. But that will fit a lot of the rock and roll songs very well. And as you can hear with all these rhythms, because you're if you're playing a rock and roll song, then you're playing a pop song, and if you play those stylized rhythms, they really do stand out as different songs. And if you play a lot of songs using the same rhythm, even though, I mean, the thing about the ukulele is a lot of the songs will be in the key of C, so if you're using a lot of the same chords, which means you're singing in the same key, and then if you use the same rhythm, it all starts to sound a bit the same. So that's what we want to avoid, but if we use stylized rhythms, that will help a lot. So let's go to the next rhythm. Oh, here we are then. So we've got a reggae rhythm. If I just bring it up, you can see it clearly. Yeah, reggae rhythm. So reggae rhythm is used a lot on the ukulele as well. A lot of songs like the Three Little Birds is very popular. I think we do Tide is High. I'm sure there's loads of other reggae songs that sound great on the ukulele. It really lends itself well because it's a happy sounding instrument, and it's happy sounding uplifting music, reggae. So what we've got here is the down and up stroke. So we've got a down and up stroke, and on our first beat, our second beat, our third and fourth beat, there is no strums. In fact, you're doing the opposite of everything else you're doing, where you're focusing on 1 2 3 4. You're resting on 1 2 3 4. So we don't hear anything on 1 2 3 4. And this down and up strum, which are quite quick, they're 16th notes. What this means basically is that we're playing where we would normally play an 8th note, but where it would normally, if we were just doing an 8th note strum, if I was resting and going 8, I'd just up basically 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which is the reggae rhythm that's probably I've done in other videos where I talked about, I think I did it in Three Little Birds, I talked about the basic, I showed you how to do reggae rhythm. So I want to do something slightly different here. So if you were quite familiar to reggae, this would be a slightly different version, but it's very, very popular. It's used in a lot of songs. Think of I'm Yours, Jason Mraz. This will work very well with that. And the idea is that you rest the first strum, and then you're playing a down up. And instead of just that up, where you would normally have one up strum, you can do a down up, which is why we've got two quick strums, down up. So it's resting, down up, rest, down up, rest, down up, rest. And if you use the side of the hand to stop it, because it's a down strum, if you rest it so it's below, like we did before, you'll have to move up over those strings fairly. It's doable, but you'll have to move over the strings fairly accurately, and that will make it slightly more challenging. So if you rest your palm in such a way where you're above the strings, that'll make it easier. So that's the down and up strum. So if we go on a C chord, and I'm going to go rest, down, up, rest, down, up, rest, down, up, rest, down, up. And that's the rhythm. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2. So the point of this reggae rhythm, it's a lovely way of making anything sound reggae as well. So you can take this, you can take a song that's a pop song and make it into a reggae song by using the rhythm style. So You Are My Sunshine. You can make it sound. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when clouds are gray. Never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. So already you can hear I can take a song and make it sound like it's reggae, but you can do the same with any of these drum patterns, which is the beauty of learning these stylized rhythms. Okay, so that covers our styles of music, or the most common styles of music I would start with. And we play a lot of blues, rock and roll, a lot of pop and country styles of music, and even reggae in our ukulele club. So it would be quite nice that when we come across these different styles of music, that we can start adding these strumming patterns in. And for your own personal obviously progress, it's great to have a pocket full of rhythms that you can use that sound authentic as well. And it's not to say that you can't simplify any of them. You can simplify any. So if you've got muting, the palm muting, if it's the shuffle you struggle with, you can simplify and play. Go back to the simple strum and start adding little elements of those other strumming patterns. And that's the beauty of all these strumming patterns. That if you hear a lot of genre styles of music, you will hear elements of other patterns mixed in. So sometimes a country rhythm will have a percussive bit in it, and sometimes a reggae rhythm will have accents, or you might have the blues rhythm, if you like, that's not shuffled, is played a little bit straighter. So you do hear some variables, but more often than not, when you're playing blues or for example country, those rhythms will fit perfectly. Okay, so good luck with that, and we will I'll come up with some more examples of some of those rhythms in the form of songs in the future, and then if you play along with those songs with that authentic rhythm, it'd be quite good fun. Okay, good luck with that, and I will see you again soon.